Hey guys, and welcome to Tabby Talks, where we chat all things fitness, business, lifestyle, and a little bit of shit. So back in the hot seat today, we have IFBB Pro Ali Raza. Ali, welcome.
Thank you, Tabby.
Very last minute podcast today.
Yeah.
I literally messaged you last night being like, hey, can you chat today?
And she knew I would be up for it, so.
Any chance to have a yap with me and you're down?
Exactly.
Anyways, but yeah, I'm grateful for you to be here. So give us a little bit of a rundown for the people. The last podcast we did got so many views. People were like, I really liked what you guys spoke about. I think it was awesome. We're controversial. We want to be able to talk about the topics that a lot of people are scared to talk about. And I think that's why both of us do quite well when it comes to social media and building kind of a brand and a following, because we're willing to say things that other people aren't. So I appreciate that from your perspective as well. And I'm excited to get into this episode.
No, exactly. I agree with you. You have to talk about things which the 10% people aren't talking about, because that's what you want to hear. There's so much information out there regarding macros, supplements and everything. It feels like if you scroll through your feed, everyone is saying the same thing in a different tone, in a different way. No one is actually talking about the real issues or things that they're too afraid to talk about just because of the reputation purposes.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And it's actually, I always say to people, if you can't just be a yes man to everyone.
Yes.
You have to have your own opinion and you have to be able to stand for yourself. And I would much rather have like people hate me and I've said what I needed to say.
Exactly. Look, like with my social media, I'm a bit controversial with my stories. It's only because I realized that no one just takes the initiative to talk and raise awareness. And I'm like, man, I'm going to do this. You know, what do I have to lose? I've lost enough in the last couple of months. So,
let's actually chat about how the last few months have been, obviously since our last podcast as well, because I know a lot of lifestyle changes have happened for you.
Yes.
So let's chat a little bit about that and how you've been going.
Yeah, so it's been a roller coaster. Like I have faced a lot of challenges in my life and it was very unexpected. So one thing I've learned, whenever you decide to change, when you actually want to change, not just for the sake of social media or putting a quote on your story that I'm going to change, when you truly want to change, you will face challenges in life in a way that you don't expect. And you know what I went through, things that, don't necessarily want to talk about it, but everyone goes through their problems. But when you least expected and it just happens and you're clueless, that's when the real test begins. And when my test began, I'm like, man, if I let this go now, and I had supportive friend like yourself, backing me up. And I'm like, I only need 2 or 3 friends, not more than that.
You do.
So I took a break from fitness, like for 3 months. I traveled a bit because if you are in a toxic environment where you have bad memories, you need to get out of there. I went to Bali and I went to a couple other countries, very spontaneous last minute trip. That made me feel better. I came back with a passion and more motivation to do better and start my fitness journey again. So I'm slowly getting back into it now.
I think sometimes you need to take a step away to realize how much you love something and to realize that you are, I guess, enthusiastic about it as well. And that was the same for me. Like I had to step away from training and sort of nutrition to realize how much it did help me and realize how much I care for it as well. So I think that this period for your life is a very transitional period. I think it's very character developing and we all go through adversity. We all go through shit. So it's anyone like listening to this as well. Like if you're going through something right now, so is Ali. So am I. We're all going through something. So if you need to have a break, have a break. Give yourself that grace to allow yourself to step back and realize it's okay to feel your feelings as well. Like I know you've had some down days. I have my down days. Feel that. Like be vulnerable and be self-aware about what you're going through, but then also remember where you want to be, who you're surrounding yourself with, and where you want to go.
It either makes you or breaks you. In your case, I can tell, like I've seen the last 11 months of your life. If it was anyone in your position, like most people, they will crash. And you did very well to come on top of it. And I actually admire that,
Yeah.
And like you're doing well. And people don't know what you're going through.
People have no idea.
Because you smile and you just put on this face and people see it. They don't know what's happening. It doesn't matter how successful you are in business, money, whatever, but your health and everything happening in your life plays a very important part. And you've been battling your own demons. We both put put up this smile and this
I feel like we both do, yeah.
Like, look at these guys, they have a great life. No, hello.
You have no idea.
Spend a day in our shoes and you would know.
I know. I had someone say to me a few days ago, they were like, oh, so anyone would do anything to be in your position. I said, no, they wouldn't. Like, if you don't have your health, you have nothing.
Exactly.
And like, I get up each day and like I've just gotten used to how I feel, but it's not a normal feeling to be this way and to have to constantly think, am I going to be safe today driving? Am I going to be safe at the gym by myself? Or should I take some carbs with me in case I'm going hypo? Like, I don't know, because I don't know how my body is going to respond, but we're literally just such enthusiastic people, and we are pretty like, I guess we've got a growth mindset, which is super important. Yeah. But the quote that's like written down my back, it says, the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. And I truly believe that it's like such a good quote that applies to both of us, because it's like, when your life, your personal life can be quite tough, it makes the outside world quite easy. And when you go through adversity, like, let that be the reason that makes you stronger. Exactly. If you continuously let adversity bring you down and make you weaker, like, once life hits you, and it's just gonna be an absolute punching bag and you're gonna get destroyed. So wake up each day knowing that, like, just back yourself. I think that's the first thing you need to do, and make sure you're surrounded by good people as well.
I like what just Tabby just said. I can back it up, and I know, and I've seen your journey and everything. And at the same time, I've seen a lot of people doing podcasts nowadays. They make shit up. I'm like, bro, no, you haven't been through shit. What are you talking about?
You have no idea.
You have no idea. I have seen, like, literally, I'm gonna say it out loud on camera. I've seen people who have never followed a diet plan properly, cheating 2 weeks out of their diet. Out of this show, talking about how disciplined they are, how hard they work. Yeah. People who are not natty talking about how natty they are. People who just became coaches talking about what successful coaches are. Yeah. Talking about their achievement as coaches. Man, like,
let the results do the talking.
Exactly. There's too much talking out there. So I just, like, because I've been doing it for a very long time, like, I just look at it and I'm like, I don't want to promote myself in that way. I'll just be myself and let people decide what's happening.
Let people decide what they want to decide. At the end of the day, like, what I've realized over the past, like, 5 years, like, I've had so many different friends. I've had so many different circles, but the main ones have all stayed. And that's because they've seen me at my highs, they've seen me at my lows, and people want to progress with you if they're the right people around you.
Right. So how does it feel to get out of the competing industry? And now you watch the competing industry from your chair. Where you're not competing anymore, but you're watching all these different federations, different athletes coming up the rank. How do you feel about, athletes competing now? Do you miss out on competing?
It's hard. It's a very hard thing for me, because I wake up each morning and it's the thing I think about all day. I think about it from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep. All I think about is competing. And I said to someone a few weeks ago, I said, it would probably be a lot easier for me if I just gave up the goal and said, okay, guys, I'm putting my shoes up. I'm never competing again. But there's this fire inside of me that's like, you can't give up on a dream that I say I've worked so long for. I'm only 22, but I think about it all the time. And I know what I'm capable of. I know that I've got the genetics. I know that I also have the hard work to back it. You have. I've got the environment around me. I've got the friends to support me. I know what I'm capable of. It's just, I also do have to be realistic with where I'm going to be. Is it worth me ever putting my health at risk to go through what I am going through right now again? No. But if I woke up tomorrow healthy and they said there's nothing wrong with you, then yes, it would be the first thing I do.
You're one of the very few people who are normal during prep, and you smile.
Thank you. I take that.
Yeah. And like very, very few people. I'm usually scared of bikini girls when they're prepping. But you're like,
you're not scared of me?
No.
Cool.
When you're prepping.
That is really nice to hear. I know, like, at around that 4-week mark, I can feel myself being a little bit aggro, but I will personally step away from people so that I'm not putting that onto everyone.
You've never been mean or rude to me. Maybe I'm special,
Yeah, maybe you're just special. Like, my clients get a beating.
Oh, good.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, well, I reckon we actually chat about this actually. So a big part of this topic that we wanted to dive into today was obviously the taboo topics. So we wanted to discuss obviously the controversial topic of PEDs, because I feel like I'm one of the only females that kind of openly speaks about it on my stories. And I
Yeah.
also feel like you're one of the,
Yeah.
there are a few males, but you're the only one who will be in depth about,
Yeah.
hey guys, this is the reality of it.
Yeah.
So over the past, how long has it been? It's been, you're getting back into training now, but I
Yeah.
think you had 3 months off.
Yeah.
When it came to PEDs, doing your cycles, did you stop all that as well?
I did. I had to stop because I didn't see the point when I was traveling and doing everything. Usually I'll be on a TRT dose like throughout the year.
Yeah.
Just to, keep my test levels. And it also helps me mentally as well. But then I miss a couple shots and I'm like, you know what, just take a break completely and see how I feel. My natural self, which wasn't a great feeling. Like I'm
Fuck
depressed,
this.
I'm upset. But like I personally started using PEDs a very long time ago. So one more thing is when I started using PEDs, I was using more than what I use now because I just, got sold by a regular lebo at a shop and he was like, hey, brother, you want
Uneducated around it as well. Yeah.
And I was just like, this guy looks great. So he must know what he's doing. That's like 90% of the people now.
Yeah.
They fell for this shit.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, this guy looks great. He must know. No, he just has good genetics.
Yeah, I remember C-Bum came out and said like what his cycle was at some point or how much he had used in a contest prep, and everyone was ridiculing him, being like, there is no way in hell you like didn't take more than that and that's all you took. But he's got one of the best genetics in the world. And when you pair that with hard work and minimal dose, like these things are effective. Like you've got to think naturally the body is quite impressive with what the body is capable of doing. So even if you just enhance it naturally a little bit, you're bound to make amazing progress.
And I would confess, like I was one of those guys who wouldn't believe it. I'd be like, nah, this is not right. They might be using a bit more. It's because I was using a lot of stuff back up until 2019 I was using. And I was just like, when I started, like my last prep, right? I barely used anything my last prep. And that was the only prep, and I say completely, I was on only 1 mil of tren a week.
Yeah.
So 100 mg a week. And I would be like, I need to use more because mentally I thought I needed more. But that was my best conditioning ever. And I was like, okay, so I did not really need much. And now it's just like bare minimum.
What do you think the difference was? Do you think it came down to like stress, training, nutrition?
It also like, the more stuff you use, the more toxic it is.
Yeah.
Liver toxic and, your cortisol shoots up and your mood's all over the place. You don't sleep properly. So minimize stress. Less toxic on the body, and just use what's required per body weight and just like the standard dosages, everything calculated. And aside the prep 16 weeks before. So usually I will just rush into my prep and have a very nasty off season. I don't really get fat in the off season, but I was at a very good starting point, and I just went with the flow. And my body responds very well now. So,
but where do you think someone should go to, I guess, be a little bit more educated around this? Like
this is a very hard one because there's so much information out there on the internet. Have a good chat to your coach and say, hey, what do you plan on doing with me, right? I know a few coaches, and I wish I could name them, but this will be a big controversy. In Australia. They're poachers, they poach clients. They get the girls on, and I have messages, screenshots, whatnot, and they will put them on PEDs and straight away. They don't care. It's just business for them. It's really sad because for females it's really bad. There's no coming back from there. And like with me, so what I do with my clients, even when I want to put them on a cycle, I would sometimes consult them and their partner. So I'm like, because she's the one who's gonna put up with your fucking mood swings. So you gotta make sure. And I will tell them the pros and cons. I'm like, you're gonna have mood swings. This is the first time your relationship is gonna get jeopardized. And if you want to do it for competing, fair enough. But if you just want to look good on the street, don't worry about this, right? So I'll tell them everything on paper, and then that's their decision to take it or not.
Do you think taking PEDs has a big of a role on someone's mentality as what people think it does?
Yes, it does. It does as much as you can. I think there's only 1% of people that I've seen are chill and like normal, or maybe they act normal. But even to me, if I talk about my personal experience, right? So because I've been doing it for years, so now when I'm prepping, I talk to myself. I tell myself, hey, Ali, you're wrong.
I was going to say, I think it's super important. Like if you're going down this route, like you need to be self-aware.
Self-aware is very important. So now I'm self-aware. Let's just say if I'm in like 4 weeks out and I'm on tren or whatever, and I have an argument, I'll tell myself, there's a 90% chance I'm wrong. I need to bite my tongue.
Yeah.
And I would never take it out on my family or anyone. I will try to control and minimize that, because if I'd lose that battle, this competing goes down the drain. There's no point competing.
I think it takes a good athlete to be able to say that.
Yeah, it took time.
Yeah.
It didn't happen overnight. It took me 4 years of being a dickhead.
Yeah.
And, getting to realize this thing.
But it's true. Like at the end of the day, no one's forcing you to be an athlete. No one's forcing you to jab, trend.
Yeah.
Like treat people well.
Yes, exactly. And it's very rare nowadays because of social media, captions and all the posts and everything. People just want to do it for the attention now.
They do.
Yeah.
Like, what would you be doing if there was no social media is the real question at the end of the day.
Exactly. So here's another thing, I met this guy at Dubai airport and we were talking about bodybuilding, and he's like, he was an influencer, whatnot. And it just came to the point, I'm like, even if I don't have an Instagram, you can Google my name and I'll be a pro athlete, the first in Pakistan. And you can't Google your influencer name. Like, what are you?
Yeah.
Apparel model or whatever. So you need to get a couple of achievements under your name, right? Medals,
For sure.
achievements, trophies. That's what makes you.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I also think so many people are under the impression that being an athlete or being a competitor or an IFBB pro helps like their business and helps them flourish. It doesn't.
It doesn't. It actually doesn't.
No.
If anything, you have more pressure,
For sure.
because you're like, you can't lower your standard, and then you're not making money. It's just like, yeah.
Yeah, well, one of the questions that I wanted to dive into actually was, do you think that it's possible to be at the top of your game as a coach and also be at the top of the game as an athlete at once?
This requires a lot of skill, patience, time management. But
Do you want my answer?
yeah,
No,
please. Yeah.
I don't think it is.
I was going towards the no, but in a very nice way. You can either be a very good athlete or a very good coach. You can't be both. You can't balance it.
You can't. I think you can be a good coach and a good athlete. I think
You can't be a great coach
sure.
and a great athlete.
I think I held that role pretty well. I was a good coach and I was also a good athlete.
Yep.
This year is the best my business has done, the best my athletes have done.
I
I've
can
had
see
all
that,
my
yeah.
competitors win, and I haven't trained. I haven't focused on my nutrition. I obviously haven't competed because I've had I'm not selfish. I'm putting none of my energy really into myself. Every single ounce of my energy is going into my business and going into my clients, which affects me and helps me grow.
Yes.
It's not helping me grow as an athlete.
And this is why a lot of coaches who were athletes before they quit competing. And this is what
Scott Goebel.
Yeah.
He literally always says, he's like, he wanted to continue competing and he was great at competing, but then his business started growing and he backed away from competing, and look at his business now.
Scotty was getting old too. So.
One of the best coaches in the country too. But he of course he was getting old, but he had to step away from something to make that flourish.
And I know the whole transitioning because I was right there. I was his second client.
That's crazy. So crazy. Go way back, literally.
Oh my God. I even have a message that I sent him in 2015. Hey, sir, are you taking clients?
No way.
Yeah. But I agree with that. You can either be a great athlete or a great coach.
Yeah, I just think if you want to be great at anything in your field, and this is not me saying be good, you can earn good money, you can be a good athlete, get first call outs, you may even go to the Olympia and still be a good coach, but I'm talking about you want to be in the top 1% in that field as a coach or as an athlete, then you need to take one pathway.
I know.
It's a sacrifice.
Because the most client I've ever lost is when I was competing. Every time.
Yeah, because you're so selfish during that time.
You have to be selfish.
Yeah, and I'll vouch for that. Like, I'm super selfish in prep. Like, I don't give a fuck about anyone else.
I know.
But it's because I'm trying to be the best at that.
Version of myself.
Like, seriously, do you look at like the best AFL players and are they also the best coach?
Yeah.
No. Like, they could probably coach a local footy team and they could also do this, do that. But any sport. This is anything. Yeah. I think if you want to be the best at anything in this world, then you're going to need to take a bit of a step back and put your energy all into kind of one basket. But also remember that you're also someone outside of this too, which is important too.
Exactly.
So going into, obviously, let's go back to the PEDs and talk about the relationships as well, because I do think this is a really big topic for a lot of listeners. And the amount of look, I'm not going to say I've had heaps, but I've had a few clients come to me and openly talk about how their partners are starting PEDs and what they should think about it. And it's almost as if those two aren't actually having the conversation between themselves about what their partner's doing, why they're doing it. I think most importantly, why someone is going down the PED route is actually a super important thing, because a lot of the time people are taking PEDs almost as a way because I guess they're not confident within themselves, and it's a way to kind of escape that. But that's not, you're probably neglecting something in your outside life for that to need to come in, if that makes sense. So I think having that open communication with your partner and feeling like, okay, why do you feel like this emotion is being suppressed, and why do you feel like you need to go down this route? Is there a way that I can help you?
Look, 90% of the clients that I have who want to start PEDs and they have a partner, most of the partners don't even know they are still doing PEDs, and which is actually very bad because it plays with everything. Your sexual health, your libido, your mood swings, and every small thing triggers you. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people who are not in the fitness industry, who don't know how macros and the hormones work, they don't know what to expect when they first start taking testosterone, when it peaks in the body, and they don't know what to expect. Sometimes they don't even know that they're reacting to a situation.
Yes, yeah.
But they actually are, because every emotion amplifies in your brain. You're angry, you get 10 times more angry. You get 10 times more happy. You get 10 times more horny as well. So it's just like everything plays out. And believe me or not, once a man starts taking testosterone, depending on the dosages, he starts looking elsewhere because of the amount of frustration and the sexual drive and everything is there. So there are a lot of pros and cons to it. So administering TRT dosages is also very important. When some people are like, oh, I'm on a TRT dose, I'm taking 250 a week, which is not, it's not even borderline.
Yeah.
To me, it depends on your age, height, body weight.
Yeah.
I would say somewhere around 100 to 150 every 10 days is still, it's still more than enough, right? A lot of people don't understand that. They start with TRT, they add another compound because at some stage your body gets used to it. You want the high, you want to do it more, and then it creates problems in your relationship whatsoever.
I think but it's just having open communication in general. It's not hard to just talk to someone and tell them the truth. If it's not the answer you wanted, well then.
But like when we say open conversation, like imagine the partner, the female partner.
I totally get that. But that's what I'm saying. I would rather, because I have been in a relationship where I was lied to about it. And my issue was that I didn't know. If you had have come to me and told me, of course, I'm not going to be the biggest fan about it. But again, educate me, tell me why. If I still don't like it, then that's my choice to stay or that's my choice to go, because clearly my value, if we've had open communication about it and we're still not on the same path, then clearly our values don't align and I'm not worth being with you.
Exactly. The open conversation is very important. Then you can say, okay, we spoke about it and you were okay with it.
Yeah. If someone wants to put trenbolone above me, goodbye.
And you don't need trenbolone if you're doing a lifestyle shit.
Yeah.
You just need TRT. And even if you're like 30, 35 plus, like there's an age. I get people who are 22 years old just because they watch a reel on Instagram, they want to jump on TRT. And you know how they market TRT dosages on internet now. It's just like it's the next big thing, but it actually is not that great.
Do you think it's worth taking PEDs if you're not competing?
Depends on what you're taking. TRT, yes. Peptides, yes. But anything which is like, if you go too energetic or you do go above and beyond, like it's just, this is
not worth it.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, no. So if you have a client come to you and they're not really wanting to compete, not someone who really has aspirations, but they are just wanting to feel better within themselves, would you say yes? Would you say no? What kind of guidance would you give someone? So
I'll look at their history, their lifestyle, their lifestyle choices. Blood markers are very important. And their long-term goal, what they expect. I also want to know from them if they want to have kids in the future, if they want to plan a family, because that's very important, because it does stop your sperm production and all that.
Yeah.
So based on everything, I'll put it on paper and say, okay, these are the consequences. If this is what you want, do you want to still do it? We can still push it naturally.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't align with their goals, I'll put them on peptides instead.
Okay. Yeah. I think it's a really important question, especially for the females listening to this. Like when I was like on cycle, I didn't have a period. it was gone. My hormones were out the door. Of course, I was doing my blood tests. Of course, I was doing everything in my power to keep everything healthy, but there is a level to which you are making a sacrifice. I was told I was infertile last year when I was running cycle.
Yeah.
Getting told at 21 that you potentially can't have kids, at that age, you don't give a fuck. You do not give a fuck. Yeah. And then a few months later, I'm sitting there like, well, I can't be a bodybuilder anymore. I don't have a period. I can't have kids. Like, what the fuck? No, that's not going to be attractive to someone else. So I think accept what you're going into and know the fucking risks. Like, there are so many people out there who won't be affected. There are so many people out there who won't have one single side effect and they will run a cycle for 20, 30 years. Like, they will be completely fine. And then there's someone else who will do something once and you can't take that back.
So like, where are you with your infertility now?
Oh, I'm fine. So
You're fine.
it was actually funny. I got my breast implants removed and the day after I got them removed from surgery, I got my first cycle back.
Nice.
I had 3 cycles and then I actually got a hormonal panel done last week and it told me that I was fertile.
Good.
So, but guys, that took me like 14 months of gaining weight, eating normally, not training, reducing my cortisol as much as possible to get myself in a position where now I'm considered classified as a healthy human.
So like a lot of people come to me for infertility issues in men, right? Because I've had kids and it was just like,
you keep having them, you're popping them out.
I don't know how many more. But it's just like, so what happened was like when I was with my ex and my family for 2 years didn't have any kids and my family's like, is everything working? You know, everyone was talking shit. And then they just kept popping and I'm like, you know what? It's fucking working. Now you know. But at that stage, I studied myself a lot more and it's not just that when you stop a steroid cycle, you can even have kids while you're on a cycle, depending on,
for sure,
multiple factors. Stress is also a factor.
Yeah.
Your diet, sperm health, it is very important. Like you can be a natural athlete and you still can't have babies
100%.
because of the sperm health. It needs you need to use sperm count and if they're fertile and it's the floating properly, cells are floating properly. You need to know if you're ejaculating properly. There's so many different factors to it. Diabetes can affect that as well. There's so many different factors. So when my clients come, I let them do the whole test and everything.
Do you get them to do like a hormonal panel? Is that what it is?
Do. And also the sperm test. And I find that depending on their diet, sleep, stress levels, it can, even for females, stress is very important. You can't get pregnant when you're stressed, you're not sleeping properly. No. So it's a multiple factor. It's not just steroids. But I've had some clients who have been running trend for a long time and they cannot. Their bodies don't respond the same anyway. But nowadays you have a lot of different peptides that can, kickstart your balls and it will happen, but it will take a lot of time, a lot of effort. Luckily I'm done and dusted. So no problem with that. I'm happy to actually chop off my... not the penis, I mean the cut off the cords. Like I don't want any more coming out. So, yeah.
We'll see about that. Give him another 5 years. He'll have another 5 kids, guys.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on people that are experiencing side effects? And because you know what it's like. You start experiencing side effects, you get a little bit addicted and you're like, no, I'm not really noticing it. I'll keep going. It can be hard to draw the line. I think it's important for coaches to pull up their clients as well. And for the coach to ask the client, hey, are you feeling any different? Are you noticing anything? What's your stance on that?
But do you know that, and you're a coach yourself, you know, not every client will be honest to you. A lot of clients lie about their diet, about their usages. I've had clients using, 2 meals a week, but they were actually smashing 4 or 5 meals a week.
Oh, wow.
So this is also a very important issue that you need to know what your client are using, because a lot of coaches get called out, but what do you know what the client is doing? Because the coach gets the blame, and that's not fair on the coach. Because I know a lot of people, the more popular the coach is, the more allegations, and everyone jumps in to, put that coach down. What I think is, like, I get the bloods done and I put it on the table with my client. I'm like, this is your blood, you're fucked up.
You know what? I do. Mine's a little bit different because not PEDs. But if a client comes to me, right, and we've got them in a diet, and they're not losing weight, I say to the client, okay, what I do, a calorie deficit is science, right? So we have 2 issues here. Either one, you're going off track and you're not telling me.
Yeah.
2, there's something hormonally wrong. So which one is it? Go get a blood test. 9 out of 10 times I get that blood test back, there is nothing wrong with the client's hormones.
Diet.
And why? It's because they're off track and they just don't want to say it. So you've wasted my time by going and getting a blood test, wasting your time as well when you know you're just not on plan. Fucking tell me that you're not on plan.
I know. And it's not easy being a coach because then you just keep going back and forth because you cannot put a gun to their head and say, hey, be honest, because they're not going to be honest.
No.
They're going to say, can you reduce my calories to the point you're sitting on like 1,100 calories and still not losing weight? And
it's got to be that, like, Scott has me on like 1,600 calories at the moment.
Yeah.
Am I losing weight? No. Why? Because I'm not eating 1,600. I'm going out and eating every day.
Yeah, and we admit it because we know what it feels like,
Exactly. Like, I just don't see the point in paying or having a coach there if you're just going to lie to them. Our job is to help. That's what we specialize in. So if you're doing more drugs than what you're supposed to, like if you're eating more than what you're supposed to, you're not getting any benefit out by lying to us. You may as well tell us so we can communicate and we can change things around.
Yeah. Speaking of which, like, slightly going off topic, I had a question. One of the guys, he used to compete in IFBB and he's just in one cycle.
Yeah.
And he decided to go netty after that and he wants to go and do a netty com. So him being very honest, he messaged me. He's like, I'm going to message IFBB and say I'm going to compete in the netty com, but I have used one cycle. So, how does this work? And I'm like,
I had the exact same thing happen to me.
Yeah.
I had a past client come to me.
Yeah.
Obviously, I won't name names.
Yeah.
She has done, I won't say a cycle, but she has used steroids before.
Yeah.
And she wants to do the natural IFBB season because on the NPC website, apparently, this is apparently, I have not looked at this myself, so please do not take my word for it. But apparently the NPC website says 6 months natural.
Okay.
I struggle to believe that a little bit because I'm like, what, does that mean that I can just go and do the natural show?
Yeah.
Even though I've won national titles, amateur Olympias, but I can just go and do the natural season because I've been natty for 12 months?
Yeah. Look.
And she came to me and asked, what do you think I should do? I said, the fact that you're bringing this up with me already shows that you think it's morally wrong.
Morally, it is wrong. And this is what I told the guy. But I also told him this, I said, do it because 90% of the people are doing it. And I'm like, I said to him, look, do it if you haven't used anything in a year because you're going to be other people. And if you don't plan on using anything anymore, because I know 90% of the people are doing it. Out of only 10% are lifetime natty who are actually doing it lifetime natty.
You know what? I don't know if I agree for the female side.
Yeah, I know. And even with the men's side, I don't. But it's just like, it's just like there's so many out there. I know it's not fair.
There is. There's so many fake natties. There's so many fake natties. And you know what? I really want to hold to a high standard this new natural federation. I had people asking me my questions box yesterday about what are my thoughts on it. I think it's fucking awesome. Like, do you know how sick it'll be to see like the genetic freaks of the world like at an Olympia?
Natural.
These people are the same as you. They just work fucking hard and diet, right? I reckon it's gonna be sick. But if people are going into it being fake natties, I think it's just gonna be super fucking disappointing, but also embarrassing for you.
Yeah.
So embarrassing. Like if you've done a cycle and you're going and competing against other natties and you're not winning.
that is so embarrassing. Imagine
right?
That.
Just hold yourself to a high standard. I know for me, I just can't lie. I would be the first to be honest, if I knew someone was a fake natty, I'd call them out.
I'll call them out. I'll just put it out there. This guy had like, I'll give him credit that he was like, hey brother, I just want to document my whole process and say that, I use stuff once and I'll do all that because I want to honor the lifetime natties, which is really good.
Which is good.
Which is very rare. But then I think of it, there's 90% of the people that I know has used something at some stage. And if they were going to do a show completely based on lifetime natties, they'll have 10, 15 competitors.
I think it's, where do you draw the line though? Because if someone is 16 and they dabbled in some PEDs, dabbled in some SARMs, like some idiot men do when they're 16, 17, can they not go and do a natural IFBB show when they're 30? But even though they've been natural since then? But then also what? If CBum just takes the next 12 months off, is he allowed to go compete? Do you know what I mean? So I think there really need, and maybe there is, this is actually my fault. I haven't really looked into it too much. I was just told that it was 6 months without taking something, which I do struggle to believe. But I think there really needs to be a clear, definitive outline as to if you have taken something, is there a line of, okay, you could have taken this and you can still compete, or like where's the threshold for being able to compete in this natural federation? Because I don't want to be seeing anyone who is enhanced up on that stage.
Exactly. And like, there are so many people in the past that have been caught as well who were enhanced while on stage. Just this is why I'm actually in favor of the IFBB natural, because I know they're going to do the test properly.
Yeah.
A lot of small federations that are going on in the
ICN, they're not testing everyone. The good thing about the IFBB, I know they just did it at the recent natural show overseas in America. They did a polygraph.
Oh, so I was actually watching a podcast yesterday of the show that happened. They did a polygraph test on everyone. Whereas there's so many federations, ICN, ANB, ACBDB, ABCD. I don't know, there's so many, man. Yeah. And they have more categories than the competitors.
Yeah.
No tests, nothing's happening. I went to one of the shows. It was the most draining. It was painful to watch.
Yeah.
Torture. And I wasted my money on the ticket as well, man. I know that because you were there, so I remember that. I'm like, what am I watching? Who am I watching?
It's actually hard.
The gay poses and everything.
Yeah.
A couple of good athletes, respect to them. So many categories. Everyone walked away with a fucking medal.
There's, you know what? I do not believe in participation medals.
Oh,
and
no.
I do not believe in just like giving 4th and 5th and 6th place a medal either. Like,
no,
you should be rewarded, and there needs
Top
to be
3.
and there needs to be smaller categories. Like someone's doing over 25s and then they're doing fucking
so many categories, and they make a post on it. I'm like, bro, just don't do that shit.
I don't care how many medals you got for participating.
What? Tell me, like, what I've realized, like, because I was competing from 2015 and it was very different back then, and it was so different to what it is now. Now the standard in IFBB has gone so much better and up and high that the bikini division is stacked. The men's physique division is stacked. Back then we barely had like 15, 20 competitors. Now we have in one class. So a lot of people, I think Australia is one of the best amateur leagues in the world.
I agree. Our amateur ranks, especially for bikini, that's why I'm so glad that so many girls are going overseas to get their pro cards, because I'm like, and this is one of the questions we wanted to go into a bit later, but it is nice seeing the girls that are getting close in Australia going overseas, because we just don't really have that many opportunities. And this isn't me ridiculing the IFBB in Australia for not having opportunities. It's very expensive to give out pro cards. And I totally understand that. We are a very small, we are technically a small country in the sense of competing. Yeah. So I love that people are going overseas to try and chase that pro card. However, what is your opinion on people that aren't doing very well in Australia going overseas to chase that card?
I think that's an easy way out for them, and they're not doing it for the love of the sport. Because if you ask me, I missed out on my pro card in 2018 by 1 point, and I wanted in 2019. But could I have waited another year? I would have happily waited another 3 years for my pro card, because I want to get my pro card, jump straight on the pro stage. If I cannot beat the amateurs in my country, why am I going to a different country to win a pro card? Because there's no point. I mean, you just want it for your bio, or what is the reason? Because I think our judging is great. And if you doubt the judging in Australia, you are mistaken, my friend, because there are amateur athletes in Australia who've been trying year after year, working hard to get their pro card. And you know what? You let your ego get in your way. You put a post blaming the judges, blaming the federation and everything. No, that's not the way. And
our judging is some of the best I've seen.
Yeah.
I haven't really had an issue with the judging the past few years at all. I think all the calls have been awesome. It's based off the criteria, and our judges, like, guys, a lot of them are going overseas to judge other shows, and they understand the category, and
they don't understand something, right? Tony has been running this for years and years. Tony's partner M, she does New York Pro, Pittsburgh Pro shows next to the judges.
They're judging the best of the best.
They are on a Zoom call with the best judges, and you think someone on your fucking Johnny on your comment section knows better. Who's the winner?
I know. There's literally do you know what? There's nothing worse than this is like a little cop out to people, but like they might become a pro and then they're not even off stage for like 5 minutes and they've already updated their bio.
And they made up this big post, journey to pro. Journey to pro, you fail in Australia, you go to a cheap country and win your fucking pro card. What the fuck? Here's another question. Someone asked me this, right? Yeah. On my quick Q&A. They're like, Ali, do you think there's politics in IFBB and some of the shows are rigged? Now, this is my point of view to this whole thing, right? Say IFBB is a franchise and they have you know, they have people representing IFBB in different countries.
Yeah.
Just like example, you have McDonald's, the main McDonald's. You give someone buys off a franchise in a country in Uganda, and they're running it the worst possible way. You cannot monitor every country.
Yeah.
Just like IFBB cannot physically monitor what's going on in every single country. They can only do so much. They can only, if anything comes into their attention, then there's politics or the judging has been rigged, they make enough money to not care about, you know, the consequences. They will take it off you. So yes, there could be some sort of politics, but it is not in control of the IFBB Federation, the main federation. It is the country who's got the contract from the IFBB running it. They might be doing something like that. For example, the Philippines, right? In the Philippines, you can pay and get away with fucking murder. So of course you can buy a pro card. I mean, like, think of it, you know? This is just my assumption. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't
because
know.
I have seen physiques that cannot place anywhere in Australia getting a pro card over there. So there are some countries, right? And in the past, IFBB has taken action against a lot of people, and they have, you know, Jim Mannion and the companies, they make a lot of money. They don't care about politics.
No.
I've done shows in America. I've done shows where Tyler Mannion has judged. The best judging I've seen in my life. In Australia, the best judging I've seen.
Yeah.
You know, they're on point with everything. Tony makes a lot of money from IFBB in Australia. I know this. And Tony, do you think he will, you know, sell out for
Tony doesn't give a fuck enough about you to make you win.
Exactly. He
Have
doesn't.
a good physique.
I have seen Tony reward the most hated man a pro card in Australia, and they blame him and the federation. It is an easy way out for your ego.
Yeah, because what was his name? He like came from like Singapore. You'll know I think he won season 8. No one knew who he was.
No one knew, and he won.
And he won his pro card.
Exactly.
No one knew. I don't even know his name. He's amazing. If someone knows his name, put it in the comments.
It starts with G. I know he's from Singapore.
Yeah.
Because he follows me on Instagram.
He wore
but
yellow
won.
shorts.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's the thing. The judging is fair and square. And the thing is, if you cannot accept it, there's a problem with you because your mates are telling you, your coach is telling you something else.
Yeah.
Of course they have to tell you. You need real people in your life to tell you. And I know for a fact, Tony is very real when it comes to that. He has given me the worst criticism ever, and I take it from him because I know it's coming from someone who's been watching Olympia, going to backstage conferences, you know,
He's seen the best of the best
Exactly.
with his own
So why
eyes.
would I ask my fucking mate who's only seen C-Bomb YouTube videos and clapped on it? You know, I lost.
Of course, that like everyone on my Instagram is like, oh, you're gonna win. Can't wait to see you like place. It's like, guys, you have no fucking idea like what this is.
Even then, like the comment section, it just blows my mind. People are like, I don't understand how the judges don't see this. Who are you? You are a shift worker at McDonald's. How the fuck would you know
But
what the
also,
judges don't see?
guys, it's a subjective sport. Of course, the judges are going to have a different opinion to you.
They're
The person
different
next to you is
physiques.
going to have a different
If
opinion
you
to
don't
you.
fit the criteria, they cannot reward you.
No.
Doesn't matter how great you look by yourself on your profile.
Everyone looks good on Instagram.
Exactly.
I had Scotty tell me once, he's like, you look a lot better on Instagram than you do in person.
Oh no.
Thanks. But that's why sometimes you just need to hear it.
Just
like,
need to hear it, yeah.
give me the criticism, whether it's
Oh my
constructive or makes me want to kill myself. That's fine.
And there's so many people photoshopping pictures, you know?
Yes.
Thank
So
God to-
one of the questions, let's
yeah.
go into some of them.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen the recent scandal on someone in the IFBB editing their photos. What are your thoughts on people doing this?
Man, I think, you know how? Some of the people that defend themselves saying body dysmorphia, that's mental fucking illness and your fucking ego talking. No body dysmorphia, man. Body dysmorphia doesn't tell you to edit your fucking waist and make it look smaller and put IFBB Pro in your bio when you just want an elite fucking show with 3 people, 3 washed up fucking bricks on the stage. You win against them and you put IFBB Pro. You know that fucking title is earned. We have 50 fucking men's physique athletes competing in a pro league show compared to 5 people in their fucking late 50s, retirement age, competing against them. And you're winning. You are degrading IFBB, right? And you added your pictures, making just work hard, get bigger delts, you know.
Look, my thing is like, you've just won a pro card. Like whether it's in it was in IFBB Elite, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't in the pro league. Fine. But either way, you're kind of like degrading what you've just done.
Exactly.
And it's also degrading to the people next to you. If you've won and you're taking a photo of you on stage and editing that photo, what about the person who comes second? Like that's kind of like a shitty feeling for them even. Like they beat you, but you're still not good enough.
It's just, and the explanations coming up with that. This is why PEDs can fuck you mentally to the point where you're making your waist look fucking, you cooked your waist to look that small. And you know what? It just opened it. I love Goob. We gotta give Mr. Goob a shout out.
Yeah.
I fucking love the guy.
Yeah, get on to Goob. We love Goob.
We love. If it wasn't for him, I actually went through my whole fucking profile one time to make sure. At some part in 2018, did I ever edit my picture just to make sure?
Yeah,
Because
imagine
Goob,
like getting called out by Goob would be just like.
Yeah. And then of course this guy was being called out for 2 years, and when Goob finally did it, then he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I have body dysmorphia. Please forgive me." Get out of here, man. We know what you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, going on to the editing of the waist, someone asked you, I know you said it in the car here,
Yeah.
can you have a surgery to help you get a smaller waist?
Oh yeah, I've heard that a lot on my stories as well. People ask if you can get a surgery to make your waist smaller. I don't think so.
You can get your ribs removed.
Ribs removed, but I heard that it's very painful.
Yeah.
And it will not, your core, it weakens your core. It is a painful process. A lot of female athletes get it.
I've seen,
For
yeah.
men, I
Overseas.
don't think you can have a stronger, more defined abs. It will somehow hinder your progress with your core strength as well. Don't quote me on this. This is what I think, and don't recommend it. Just you want a smaller waist, get bigger lats and shoulders.
I think there is a genetic predisposition. There is a genetic predisposition though for people with a larger waist. I do think it's a lot of the time genetic. Like personally, people will ask me when I'm lean, like, how do you get your waist so small? I don't know. Like I don't do vacuums. I don't wear a waist trainer. I don't actually train abs either.
Yeah.
For me, it is genetic. I think there is a way, there's obviously you can create the illusion of a smaller waist, and what we'll do with clients, build up their lats, build up like your glutes, build up everything around it to make the illusion of a smaller waist. But there is going to be a very big genetic reasoning behind how big your waist is.
And I do feel sorry for some of the athletes. Like
So do I.
Yeah, like they just can't help it. Just like how we just talk about a fridge. You can't make a fridge smaller. You turn and twist it around. You just can't. And there's an athlete. He got it broke out recently in was it Philippines? I think. Like great conditioning, great everything, but it just doesn't have the structure.
Yeah, you can have
you can't help it. And I'm like, how? Even a surgery won't help him. Like
I've seen people with honestly the best fucking work ethic, and won't name names. I'll back him up. Amazing work ethic.
Yeah.
One, just don't be a dick on your Instagram and shit and have an ego. But some of the hardest workers can be genetically not blessed for the sport.
Yes.
And it can hold you back. Like hard work will always be natural talent for sure. But there is still that effect that it's going to have.
There is that factor.
Yeah.
And you know what? I realized that a lot of people start hating you when you have an ego. Because no one appreciates an ego.
No.
You look at even the top Olympians, their downfall was their ego.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. It's not hard to be a nice person, and you know what? There's always someone better than you.
Exactly.
You can work hard in silence, and don't think you're outworking people, because there is always someone pushing harder.
Yeah.
I'll even vouch for that. There's definitely someone out there that's worked harder than me or done a harder session, or, like there is, of course there is. So you can't just continuously sit there thinking that you're the best. It's great to have that mindset and to be disciplined, but don't put that onto other people assuming that you're better than them.
Very good point, because like in my head, I can think I'm the best, but I don't want to put it out there in front of someone to make them feel any lesser. You can believe in yourself, but just don't put anyone down like that.
Exactly. It's what I say in every single prep that I do in day-to-day life. I go into it telling myself I am the standard. And that's what I tell myself, because I know that if someone's beating me, if they're somehow eating better on their plan, if they're somehow training harder, doing better cardio than me, if they're beating me, I know what the fuck they've done to get there, because I know how hard I've worked, because I've set the standard. But I've set the standard for myself.
I like when we slack off, like there's some preps that I've slacked off and I accepted it, Like back in 2022, I got fourth place, and I got off stage. And people like, oh, we had you second, third. I'm like, no, I had myself fourth.
Yeah. You knew what you did.
I'm like, I had myself fourth. Like, it's the truth, man. Like, you know, it's nice of you to think and make me feel better, but it is what it is.
It is.
Yeah.
Should we get into some would you rathers?
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm going to say one and then you answer and then you say one and I answer. We'll go like that. How many do you have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay. I have a few, but I'm going to mix it up.
All right. Would you rather be able to use growth hormone but not testosterone, or be able to use testosterone and not growth hormone?
Use testosterone, yeah.
So never be able to use growth hormone again?
Yeah, because test is a test, like it.